Hi, I'm Vicky Nguyen. Thanks for joining me for Consumer Confidential Back to School Safety Guide. We're going to help you kick off a successful year, from navigating the social scene to the great debate. Is your child ready for a phone? We'll also have an important lesson on how to stay safe on campus, especially if your student is away from home for the first time. In just a few minutes, we'll talk to Dr. Sue Varma on dealing with the anxiety of returning to school. But first, school safety is on the minds of many. We looked into some of the most effective measures. We aren't going to give away any secrets that could put your kids in danger, but we will show you some of the safety tactics used in schools today to potentially save lives. Nearly 50 million kids in the U.S. are headed back to class, and across the country, districts are approaching security differently. In Indiana, Jay County schools have gun safes on each campus, where trained staff have access with just a thumbprint. Clinton Public Schools in Mississippi added a fourth police officer. And in Las Vegas, El Dorado High School is set for a $26 million security upgrade with cameras, single-point entry, and perimeter fencing. I'm here at White Plains High School in New York for an exclusive look at their campus security system. And with me is John LaPlaca. He's a consultant who works with schools across the nation. Let's talk about the security here. What's the first thing a visitor would notice?
So as we approach the building, we're going to have a single locked point of entry for visitors. If they want to gain access to the building, the first step in the process would be they'd buzz in on the intercom system, which would be answered by security personnel inside. Hi there, it's John LaPlaca from Altaris. I'm here to visit the main office. So I've announced myself, and the security person has now given us access to the building, has buzzed us into the vestibule.
But that's not it. We're stopped by a second set of doors where security scans our driver's license to cross-check against the sex offender registry and local banned persons lists. Okay, John, so now we're inside the school. What other security measures are in place here?
So visible throughout the building, you'll see cameras. It also gives law enforcement the ability in an emergency situation to look at the cameras.
What about the classrooms themselves?
They have electronic locks, which will actually automatically lock in an emergency situation. Some of the best returns on investment for safety and security are things that cost nothing at all.
Low-cost signs to help people provide 911 with their location and help responders outside find them. Oh, okay. We took part in an actual lockdown drill where teachers served as students. Assistant Principal Guy Vitiello, wearing this bright orange shirt, serves as a trespasser on campus. I'm in the classroom with teacher Danielle Dooley, who shows us what happens when someone triggers the alarm.
I'm going to activate the phone.
Okay.
Students get to the safe zone. Students get to the safe zone.
So you instruct your students to go back into the safe zone?
Lockdown. Lock the doors. Stay away from the windows.
Across campus, the alert can be seen and heard from these LED boxes. Furry is trained to quickly scan for nearby students before securing the room. So you go outside, make sure that there are no students in the hallway, or you grab them to get into the safe zone?
Correct.
Okay.
Come in, get into the safe zone in the corner there. Lock down, go in the room.
In an actual lockdown, only law enforcement can enter the building. Today, school resource officers from White Plains PD enter through a back door closest to our trespasser. Now, when you close that door, Mr. Furry, does it lock automatically?
It does lock automatically.
Police didn't want to reveal their tactical response, but told us the priority is to go straight to the trespasser and confront the security risk.
White Plains Police, can you tell us why you're in the building?
Inside, everyone remains in lockdown. Only police can unlock the doors and let them out. As you stand here in the corner, what kind of goes through your mind?
Thinking about the students, and how they're feeling and how important it is to reassure them that when they're here, they're safe, that we have systems for them to ensure their safety and their comfort, and then reassuring them afterwards.
White Plains Police Chief Joe Castelli says his department holds multiple training drills like this every year. These are decisions officers have to make in a split second. How important is training to that muscle memory?
The more we do it, the more we will react in a crisis situation, a high-stress situation. The time to train is not the time when the crisis is going on.
The chief says everyone in the community can make the difference. See something, say something.
Look, we want to help anybody who may be in distress.
Superintendent Joe Ricca says planning, practice, and communication is the critical first layer of security to keeping any campus safe.
At the core of any strong security plan is always going to be the training.
And joining me now is board-certified psychiatrist Dr. Sue Varma to help us ease into the school year and eliminate some of the anxiety that comes with a new year. Welcome, Dr. Varma. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Help us understand, what are some of the conversations that we parents can have with our kids to ease some of their worries?
So, school safety is number one on everyone's mind, and the child may say, like, how can I feel safe with all that's happening in the world? And I think it's really important for parents to have age-appropriate conversations. Depending on the kid, you may want to keep it very simple if we're talking about 5 to 7-year-olds, and older kids may want a little bit more information. But really having open-ended questions where you leave it to them to say, what are you worried about? So we're not projecting our fears and anxieties onto them, and then providing some level of support and reassurance to say, it's going to be okay, we'll figure this out. Because really that's what kids want to hear at the end of the day, that it's all going to be okay.
What are some action statements that we can use if a kid says, I'm kind of worried about my safety at school?
Yes.
What is something you can tell them that's concrete?
Yes. So I would say, listen, let's have a safety plan. I know that the idea of kids having cell phones is a big topic, and maybe we can talk about that another day. But, if the kid is age appropriate, like somewhere between 9, 10, 11, I want to give my kids phones as they're nearing that age. So say that you can contact me when you're in school if you don't feel safe, if the school allows for it. Or, for example, if you're going to an event and you're at a parade, to say if we got separated at the parade, where's the meeting point? What is your address? Do you know your phone number? Because a lot of young kids don't know. Or can you look for a familiar face in the parade or the event that you're going to? So having very concrete tips, and to say, I'm going to the PTA meeting, I'm going to find out at school what is the plan, the safety plan, and we're going to get our local legislators involved. We'll get the local police department involved. So giving them some structure and confidence that you've got things figured out, or you're going to figure them out with them.
That makes sense. And giving them actual things to do and giving them knowledge, information that you gather.
Yes.
That's super helpful. What are some of the other back-to-school anxieties that kids have? Because it's been a summer and maybe they're worried about their friends or just a new teacher, a new school.
Yes, all of that, all of the above, like you said. One thing is separation anxiety. Young kids are going to feel like, I've spent the whole summer with you and now we're not going to be together. I know the older kids, the teens and tweens, may be like, I'm happy to peace out, right?
Right.
So the younger kids, that separation, if you can create a few moments in the morning to say, listen, we're going to have everything ready, we'll have their lunches packed, let's just watch some videos for a couple of minutes, let's laugh, let's watch something on YouTube or TikTok, whatever feels family friendly to you. The other anxieties are fitting in. Body image issues are a big deal nowadays as young people are on social media and feeling like they're not,
especially for young girls,
absolutely not living up to standards. So finding them activities that make them feel body confident. Sports are a great way, keeping kids active throughout the summer so that they feel a sense of agency over their body, finding them clothes that fit if that's an issue, peer pressure, and discussing a lot of this and recognizing that it's going to be evolving in real time, but keeping the door open, keeping interested, asking them questions. What are you watching? What are you doing? What are you worried about?
That's all such great actionable advice. Dr. Sue Varma, as always, we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, well, we talked about it there. The great debate coming up. Is your child ready for a phone? Plus, we'll look at the other gadgets your kids may need, which include laptops that are right for your family. Later, College Safety 101, the do's and don'ts of college life. Consumer Confidential, coming right back. These days, it's known as the great debate. When are kids ready to have a phone? Parents want to be able to stay in touch with their children throughout the day, but owning a phone can open up a different set of headaches. Here's NBC's Kate Snow.
The pandemic changed everything, including the way kids learned and spent their free time. According to Common Sense Media, screen use for teens and tweens has grown by 17% since 2019, with kids 8 to 12 clocking 5.5 hours a day and 13 to 18-year-olds logging nearly 9 hours a day on devices. Now many parents are pumping the brakes. For mom of 4, Adriana Stacy, the family policy has always been firm.
We don't buy smartphones for our children.
She's a psychiatrist who's seen the effects of increased screen time in her practice.
I'll get a patient in my office, usually a teenager, who all of a sudden started to really struggle with anxiety and depression. Pretty much every time we can trace that back to, when did you get a phone?
But her oldest, Annalise, a 10th grader, often feels left out.
It's definitely hard sometimes because I have been left out of decisions because I haven't been on a group chat. or something.
It's also been a struggle in the classroom. Some of Annalise's teachers ask students to use their smartphones to do classwork.
We do feel like we're standing alone on an island.
But the island is getting bigger. A movement called Wait Until 8th encourages parents to wait until at least 8th grade to give kids smartphones. The network is 40,000 families strong, and they've seen a 25% increase in participation in the last year alone.
Parents have seen the impact of screens on kids over the past couple of years with online school and lots of social media consumption. Let's get our kids outside. Let's get our kids reading. Let's get our kids playing with other kids in real life. Let's let our kids enjoy being kids.
Research about the impact of smartphones is mixed. A large study using data from the National Institutes of Health found screen time was moderately associated with worse mental health, increased behavior problems, decreased academic performance, and poorer sleep, but also found using a smartphone or device improved friendships and connection. Dr. Jean Twangy is a professor of psychology at San Diego State and author of the book iGen.
Are we basically experimenting on our kids, not knowing what the impact of these smartphones will be long term?
All of us are basically living in a big social experiment where smartphones have taken over. In effect, we're experimenting with their brains. Hey, let's give them all a smartphone and see what happens.
Experts agree if parents are going to allow smartphones, they should be banned from the bedroom overnight, and they recommend setting time limits and parental controls. And for the growing number of parents who decide not to give their kids a smartphone at all, talk to your kids about your concerns and consider a stripped-down phone for calls and texts only. Last year, Annalise Stacy got one of those. At 15 years old, she already sees the benefits of not having a smartphone.
It's been a positive experience not growing up with one because I spent more time doing more valuable things and less time on my phone. I have better self-esteem and better social skills, and I can definitely communicate and just talk to people more.
Kate Snow, NBC News, New York.
In a recent study from the University of Texas, researchers gave people a series of tests without a smartphone near them and then with a smartphone near them. Just having that phone within reach, even though they weren't touching it, was enough of a distraction that the people didn't concentrate or do as well on their tests. So food for thought there. All right, so in addition to a phone, there is a lot of other technology that parents may want to consider. Mark Spoonauer, who is a tech expert and global editor-in-chief of Tom's Guide, is here with a look at back-to-school tech for every age. Mark, thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
All right, let's start with this. Parents who may not want to give kids a smartphone with all the bells and whistles yet, but they still want the safety and security of knowing they can get in touch with their kids. What are we looking at?
So think of this as like a smartphone training wheels.
Okay, I like it.
So the first device is the Gyobit. And the idea behind this device is being able to track your kids and know where they are. It's really light. It's $139, so fairly affordable.
Okay.
You can attach it to their backpack, their clothes. And the idea is that if your kid is coming home from school or leaving, you will get automatic notifications on your phone based on location. Yes.
Okay. Okay. And what about this guy right here, this little watch device?
So this is kind of like the Dick Tracy watch is making a comeback. So this is called the TikTok 4.
Okay.
It goes for $199. And unlike the Apple Watch, there's actually, not only can you make phone calls through it, but there's a 5-megapixel camera built in. So you can have video calls with grandma or whoever you like. You get to set the contacts.
Okay.
The other good thing about this watch is that with kids, a lot of people with screen time increasing, people are worried about, are my kids staying active? There's an activity tracker built in, and there's some gamification features, so your kids will want to be active.
Moving on to the next item, laptops, very pricey. What do we need to know about, the best ones to get for our kids?
Sure. So we do a lot of testing at Tom's Guide, including battery life. And what we love about the new MacBook Air M2 in particular is that it lasts for 14 hours on a charge, where we just continuously surf the web. So it does really well in that regard. It's also very well built, and we think that students are going to like the new colors, including the blue model that you see here. The performance is great, and it has a high-resolution Full HD webcam built in, because a lot of us are doing more video calls with parents at home, but even interacting with our professors.
Okay, so let's move on quickly to the laptop bags. Some of them actually have locks built in.
Yeah, so this is from Mancro. It's only $26 on Amazon, and there's a couple of great features. One is that you can order one with a combination lock built in, which is really good for protecting your laptop. The other thing that you see right here is that there's a USB cable, and if you want to, you can have it snaking outwards, and there's a USB port right here. So all you have to do is put in your own portable charger. So let's say you're at class and you're running low on juice, you can charge up your phone or your laptop using your backpack.
Okay, I'm running out of time, but let's talk about these trackers. These are so important to keep track of all of your devices, right? They're made by Apple, and who else?
So this is Tile and Apple, and the best way to look at these trackers and to think about them is that one is for Apple and iPhone, and the other is for Android.
Okay,
right?
very good.
So
and then if you are a student riding a bike, got to get a helmet. Why is this one special?
This is great because it has LEDs built in, and it gives you full visibility when you're on the road, and there's a remote control built in, so if you're riding your bike, you can actually let people know if you're about to turn left or right, and you can control that with a remote control on the handlebars or using your Apple Watch.
Okay, I'm going to challenge you real quick. 10 seconds. What's this?
Okay, so the Nest Video Doorbell is one of our favorites because it gives you a very tall aspect ratio, so not only can you see people, but packages that are at your door, which is really great for college students.
Mark Spoonauer, our tech expert. Thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Still to come, how to talk to kids about peer pressure. But first, College Safety 101, how to avoid becoming a target for criminals. Consumer Confidential is coming right back. College is a special time for so many young adults, but that independence also comes with new risks. So how do you avoid being a target for criminals? I went back to school for a refresher course on campus safety. At college campuses across America, it's back to school. Each year, around 20 million U.S. students attend college. For some, it's the first time they're on their own, and safety may not be their first priority. Fortunately, crime on college campuses has been on a steady decline for years. According to the most recent numbers in 2020, there were a reported 28,000 crimes. That's a record low, due in part to remote learning during the pandemic. But as we return to in-person classes, we're here on the campus of Fairleigh Dickinson University in New Jersey for an important lesson on how to stay safe while in school. Joining me is Mike Sapriconi. He has 16 years of experience as an NYPD detective and is now the president of global security firm Squad Security. Mike, we talk about safety all the time. What do we need to know about staying safe when it comes to being on a college campus?
Being alert, paying attention, always being vigilant to what's around you, making sure you know your friends, they know where you're going, they have your telephone number, you have theirs. Always to be in touch with somebody.
And being prepared is so important.
Always being prepared.
Let me introduce you to Treasure Thomas. Hi, Treasure, come on in. She's a junior here at Fairleigh, and she's going to take you through a day in the life of a student here on campus.
Great. Nice to meet you, Treasure. Looking forward to it.
Nice to meet you, too.
Her day starts when she drives to class.
Great place to park. You want to park where there's a light. So at night, you know where your car is. You want to park otherwise places where there are other cars parked. And keep your key in your hand. Don't hit it 30 yards out because then someone's going to see that you're opening the doors. When you get close to your car, hit your fob, go in your door. And as soon as you get in the door, before you start your car, lock your door.
Almost every school has campus-wide alerts, usually sent via text message.
So what should I do if I get that alert?
Well, if you're in a classroom, you should certainly be guided by your professor or your instructor. If not, you should definitely contact public safety or if you're your RA if you have some concerns. But you should have a point of contact that you should be able to go to.
Another tip? Add the number for campus public safety in your phone. They can usually respond faster than 911. A big mistake students make at the library?
You see you have your computer out, you probably have your phone out on the desk, and sometimes I'm sure you've gotten up to go do something and you've left them there.
Of course.
And it's a bad idea. Theft is the #1 crime on campuses, okay? It's a crime of opportunity.
While walking around, Mike says to use the buddy system, and if no one is available, call campus public safety. They usually will provide an escort.
What if someone's making me uncomfortable and I'm nervous and I'm all by myself?
That's important. A lot of people are afraid to say anything, but you should maybe change direction. Walk to where you might see more people. And never be afraid to scream. Screaming is good. Screaming scares people. It alerts people. Emergency phone, blue light box. So important on campuses to know where they are and to know how to use them.
While touring the dorm, Mike immediately notices some security concerns, like this propped door, which Treasure says students do all the time.
Anybody comes in this dorm, that stuff is theirs. I mean, it's just so easy to take. We got to make it a little harder on them. This is great to have the sunlight come in on a beautiful day. But this can't be left like this. You're on the first floor. Good job here by locking the window. But you don't want everybody to have that easy access to see what's going on or what's in your room. Here's another thing. You have this mirror covering the peephole. It defeats the purpose of you being able to look out.
At night, always use the buddy rule. Never accept drinks from strangers and wait until the next day to post on social media so no one can track your whereabouts.
We covered a lot of stuff today. Good luck in school in this next semester and spread the word to all your friends.
Thank you.
Our thanks to Mike and Treasure for all those great tips. And Mike says the buddy system, it works best when you designate one person who will look for you if you don't come back to your dorm or you haven't checked in. All right, up next, dealing with tricky topics from drinking to consent. How to talk to kids about social pressure. You're watching Consumer Confidential on Today All Day. It's a topic parents can't afford to ignore, the social pressure and dangers your kids might face. In 2019, nearly a quarter of 14 and 15-year-olds reported having at least one alcoholic drink. And data from the CDC suggests 1 in 12 high school students experiences physical dating violence. Joining us with important insight is Dr. Danielle Dooley, a general pediatrician and former Georgetown University Health Services worker. Dr. Dooley, thank you for joining Consumer Confidential. Those numbers we just talked about, specifically with the violence, the dating violence, really alarming. What should young people keep in mind when they're going out on a date?
So I think it's really important that we equip our teenagers and young adults with the facts and the knowledge. First of all, they should know that about 8 out of 10 instances of sexual assault occur between people who know each other. So I think that's really important for them to know. We also want them to know about the different types of violence. There's physical violence, emotional violence, and sexual violence. And then lastly, we really want to start talking with our teens and young adults about what are the components of a healthy relationship. Are these relationships based on trust and honesty and independence and anger control and respect, or are they relationships based on disrespect, dishonesty, a lack of anger control, and a lack of trust?
Dr. Dooley, how should parents navigate difficult conversations on these topics like substance abuse or consent?
So first of all, just like you might have a packing list for your child's dorm or what they're going to need for their academic course loads each year, also on your list should be having this conversation with your child. And I want parents to know that they're not alone. There are a number of resources out there to help guide parents. First and most importantly is committing to having the conversation. Secondly, finding a quiet space and time in which to do it so you can really have a conversation with your child. Third, you might want to use something that's been in social media or current events as a way to open up the discussion and find out what your teenager knows. Where are they in their thinking and their knowledge about these topics? What are they seeing amongst their friends? And then finally, commit to being non-judgmental and really hearing your teen and hearing what they've been seeing and experiencing are some great ways to open this conversation and navigate these difficult topics.
And these aren't just one and done conversations, right, Dr. Dooley? Should you revisit this over time?
Absolutely. It is so important that these conversations happen repeatedly and that maybe when you have that first conversation, you really set the stage to, I hope this is the first of many conversations. You can always come and speak to me about things you may have questions about or are concerned about. And even if I don't know the answer, I will try to find the correct information or answer for you. So repeated check-ins and conversations are critical.
Thank you. I love that actual language that you're equipping parents with. What are some basic do's and don'ts when you are talking to your kids about these social dangers?
So I think some important do's are making sure you make the time and the space for the conversation, asking open-ended questions. So really trying to let your child or young adult tell you what they think or what they know or what they've seen, rather than asking questions that are just going to lead to yes or no answers. I also think that parents shouldn't be afraid to communicate their own values and expectations around substance abuse and sexual activity. And I think some don'ts are, don't skip the conversation. It's a really critical conversation to have. Children are seeing a lot about relationships through social media, and I think it's really important that they see and learn and hear about relationships from their own parents as well. So don't skip the conversation and try not to get emotional. You may hear things that are hard to hear, but you really want to create that open atmosphere for your teenager.
Hold the judgment, as you said earlier. Dr. Dooley, what about some red flags that your child might be in trouble?
So red flags that your child might be having issues would be if you noticed a sudden withdrawal from activities or sports or organizations or things that they used to enjoy doing. If you noticed a decline in their studies or academics, if you notice they're just not participating in things like they used to, they may have mood changes and seem angry, hostile, depressed, or anxious. So all of those would be red flags that it's important to check in with your child. And you could also offer them the option that if they don't feel comfortable or ready to talk to you, is there someone at their school or their college that they would feel comfortable talking to at this point?
Dr. Danielle Dooley, thank you so much. We so appreciate your time. And that is our time for now. For all of us at NBC News, I'm Vicky Nguyen. Be sure to join me for another edition of Consumer Confidential right here on Today All Day.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Find your favorite recipes, celebrity interviews, uplifting stories, shop our favorite deals, and so much more with the Today app. Download it now.